Fiverfinden has one of 4 players rolling dice to quickly find shapes and icons. Haber provided this in exchange for an honest review. The boards are double-sided. Gray edges show the same layout for all players, and white edges are unique. For this review, I'm using gray. Player 1 rolls the dice. If 3 or more of one symbol are rolled, roll again until you have no more than 2 of any one symbol. Once players are ready, begin the game. Your goal is to find as many of these 5 square shapes on your board that include all of the rolled symbols. For example, using the symbols in the previous photo, here are 5 of the shapes. Each shape may be only used once. You may not use a single square in more than one shape. You may not outline more than 5 shapes. You may rotate or flip a shape as necessary. Oh, and you need to use your imagination. The shapes may not be lifted off the table or touched in any way. Once you've found 5 shapes, or you give up, flip the timer. You're now finished for the round. Once the timer ends, say stop. Everyone else immediately puts down their markers. Time to score. After scoring, erase your board, then continue to the next round. For a shape to score, it must be completely outlined in addition to the earlier rules. Score the indicated points for each legal shape. The player who flipped the timer scores 1 additional point. In the final round, shape points are doubled. In case of a tie, the player with the highest score in rounds 1 through 4 wins. If still tied, players share the victory. That was the standard game. The puzzle game divides the board into 4 triangles, each containing 1 copy of every possible shape. You play a maximum of 12 rounds and only outline 1 shape per round. If you failed to find a shape, choose one of the unused shapes and waste it by filling in that shape on your board. You can no longer outline or score this particular shape. The row of white boxes above the shapes is to mark if you flip the timer that round. You'll eventually run out of space to find any shapes. Once no one can locate a shape, move to scoring. Score all of your outlined shapes and your timer points. The winner's the player the most. Roll dice and find shapes with those symbols. That's Fiverfinden. Our games of Fiverfinden, including setup and takedown, average just under 20 minutes, although this depends on the mode. We can zip through a standard game in around 10 minutes. There's grade 1 math and no rating. You do have to be able to quickly recognize patterns, but some 5 and 6-year-olds could play. Even with 4 people, you might be able to get away with playing on a large coffee table. 3 feet by 3 feet. Player count doesn't really matter because it's a multiplayer solitaire game. Only in puzzle mode is there the slightest interaction. Fiverfinden throws a lot of small squares, icons, and bright colors at you. I have sensory issues and had a headache after a few games. The box is small enough to bring just about anywhere. The game is quick and has super simple rules. This is the type of game I'd teach the kindergartners and grade 1 students that I supervise on rainy days. Race against others, then a timer. Panic in tense situations? Skip this. A bad roll for you means you might not have that particular pattern on your board, while the other players can find things easily. Players able to spot things quickly will always win, and people who can't, or people with sensory issues, will always lose. Too much luck, too few decisions. I tried to find the good in games, but it's really hard to find any in puzzle mode. Luck plays an even bigger role here, and time drags even though it's 5 minutes longer. It's boring. I'd consider playing standard mode if someone asked me, but I'd pass if they suggested puzzle mode. Fiverfinden is a roll and write with heavy luck, graphic design that overloaded my senses, and a race element. Did I mention heavy luck? Skip this unless you want a game where you don't need to make decisions and you enjoy quickly scanning brightly colored boxes for icons.